Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I love bad Star Trek, and I will be the Black Badger that saw his own shadow. That is Section 31 movie, and I'm just gonna be talking about the Section 31 movie today. As if it isn't already obvious, I don't have a script. I just wanted to sort of give a reactive, reaction to the tragedy that is this Section 31 movie. I cannot believe, I am shocked and astonished that this movie ever left production and in this shape, and they thought, yes, this is satisfactory, this is good, and this will carry on the legacy of Star Trek in a good way. This is a solid step forwards. There is very little that I can say positively about this movie, not just because I ideologically hate the idea of Section 31 being focused on, and I hate the idea of a genocidal maniac being given a redemption arc, something they even give voice to in the movie itself, that it's ridiculous that like somebody who is responsible for the deaths of trillions, if not more, is given like second and third and fourth chances. Why? Why the fuck is this franchise trying to force this down our throat? And I know we don't have to watch anything, but this Section 31 thing was a very highly anticipated thing. Like, it was supposed to be a series at first, and now it's just a movie. And it feels that way. It feels like it was a series that they cut into a 90-minute movie. There are things throughout that are not congruent. The movie has no internal logic to it. And I mean that in every possible regard. Visually, acting-wise, plot-wise, just a big old question mark. I can't even really regard this as a Star Trek property, because I would love in this moment in time to have a hopeful message from Star Trek about how we can kind of come together and weather this shitty time, because the Bell riots we were promising happened. Whatever. I can't even dislike the movie. It's just really horrible, though. I know those two things don't seem to make sense together, but there are so many technical things wrong with it. But I think there's like a germ of an interesting idea here that they could have fleshed out had they not tried to make like 5 movies at once with this thing. The one relationship I thought was interesting was the one between Georgiou, her enslaved person, this gentleman named San, and their story begins by being the last 2 surviving candidates of this Terran Empire battle royale type of thing. And they seem to bond over the experience. But obviously, you know, enslaving somebody to be at your feet for the rest of their life kind of ruins the mood. But I would like that story to be focused on. I would like the story of Georgiou and San, and how close were they to just saying fuck it to this entire Terran Empire thing. Because one thing that wasn't entirely clear was whether or not this was voluntary, because it looks like they may have been forced to do it. I'm not clear. From the very start of the movie, it felt like a cutscene from a video game where you're getting briefed on the mission. And the mission is that Section 31 is meant to intercept a bioweapon. It's cheap looking. It's terrible. Section 31 intercepts Georgiou at this bar on the edge of Federation space or whatever. This gentleman named Sahar, I think, meets her in the bar. And he's like, I could arrest you, but you could, like, you know, go on a mission with me. And it's like, that was your mission, to have her on the mission. What's this about arresting her? The fact that they keep enlisting her in missions when they know that she's a genocidal maniac and offer her this like olive branch of like, you can be better. Like, why does the Federation insist, and by extension Starfleet insist, on rehabilitating genocidal maniacs? I don't understand it. Really, outside of the non sequiturs that pop up over and over during this movie, the editing is the probably the biggest sin, because I'm slightly prone to motion sickness. Even during conversations where it's just two people in a room, the camera is constantly spinning, constantly panning, constantly, like, it just has to go over here, go over here. If I feel like the ADHD in my brain is being projected out into this movie and being fed back to me, it's like they're trying to make the two people in a room conversation more dynamic than it really needs to be. When I see two people alone in a room having a discussion, I feel like that should be a landing pad for people to sort of absorb exposition and not be like, what? Huh? That, like, I kept rewinding because I kept missing what was being said because of the editing that kept going cha. Like, I can't pay attention when it's like that. The acting in here is tragic. Michelle Yeoh can't even pull it off. She starts the movie as this sort of like vixen character and then ends the movie being this like stoic hero character. The auxiliary characters, and there are many, because it's really trying to be like 15 movies at once. One of them, Suicide Squad, just don't add anything. When I talk about tropes and stereotypes on my channel, it's not just because it's offensive. It's also because it flattens the personality of the person that you're trying to portray. And they're shorthand for storytelling. And I think that type of person belongs in the background, maybe, not in the forefront of the story. And not only that, we get right in the bar scene, we get, references to The Cell with Philippa Georgiou's mask. We get Fifth Element with the singer. There's not a single original idea presented. The plot is that they're there to intercept a bioweapon, but they spend a good chunk of time explaining how this alpha team of Section 31 would have handled it had Philippa Georgiou not discovered that they were the alpha team. So we have to sit through that. And then none of that matters because Philippa just puts this phase thing on in order to just sort of snatch the bioweapon from this guy. And just so happens that somebody shows up out of nowhere with the same phasing technology to steal it back. And Georgiou says that weapon is like this tremendously destructive bioweapon that can take out an entire quadrant. It's called the Godsend and stuff. And for some fucking reason, the next, 20, 30 minutes are on this deserted planet that I'm reading Memory Alpha trying to make sense of it. There's no explanation as to why they go to this planet, but just above it, they are interrogating this weapons dealer, and apparently he's from the Mirror Universe. And his thinking was that if he brought this bioweapon from the Terran Empire into the Prime Universe, that the Terran Empire would come through this tunnel that occasionally opened in order to conquer the Prime Universe. The tunnel is opening intermittently anyway between Terran Empire and the Prime Universe anyway. Why the fuck would the weapon matter? I'm literally still reading the plot because I still don't understand it. They go to this planet, right? And it's like this desert planet where there's like a hideout or something, and they use that location to interrogate the arms dealer. For some reason, that ship explodes, and it's just like 100 feet above the ground. They have to beam out, and then they're stranded on this planet. Why are they even on it, though? Because apparently this planet makes it impossible for them to communicate out to Starfleet or Section 31. Why would they even be there? The weapons dealer guy says amongst them is a traitor. So everybody's like, are you the traitor? Are you the traitor? And then during that discussion, there's like drone shots and cameras just zinging every which way when it's just a discussion. What is even happening? And then it turns out that they find the mech guy who has done absolutely nothing of benefit to anybody in this scenario, dead. And it turns out that the guy who's driving another guy, this guy named Fuzz, who's like Krang or whatever, he's like a little guy inside of a big robot guy, and that guy has killed the mech guy because he fixed the antenna and then infiltrated this dude's mech suit in order to make him kill himself. Like, who cares? And by the way, this entire time there's like a Starfleet officer there, and she's like, I'm here to like enforce that you guys don't kill anybody. That's a really weird, like, you've enlisted all these aliens that aren't in Starfleet that have sort of checkered histories all, but you draw the line at murder. You have a genocidal maniac enlisted in your team, and you're worried about people being killed. What the fuck? Sam, who took the weapon from the arms dealer, says that the Terran Empire will rule over the Prime Universe with mercy. And for some reason, he thinks that he's going to be the Emperor of the Prime Universe, I guess. No real understanding of how that would be or why that would make any sense. And also, the Godsend can only be activated with Georgiou's biosignature. There's just not a logical decision in this entire movie. I don't understand why it was made. There's lines of dialogue that make me cringe, like Georgiou's listing off her titles to the arms dealer guy, and he was like, can I have fries with that? What does that even mean? When San, the guy who she enslaved, kills himself ritually, the way that Georgiou says, you're not allowed to die, it just doesn't feel like human speech at all. There's just not a moment in this movie where I'm like, I can kind of relax and, be entertained at the very least. Like, there is a bright side to this. Maybe Section 31 as an idea will be abandoned. Maybe we don't need to constantly reconcile the ethical issues that come with connecting Section 31 to Starfleet like this. Because if you're going to have a genocidal institution connected, you can't argue that it's a heroic thing, and you certainly can't make an argument with this movie that it's a necessary thing. Maybe we can just fucking drop it now. Section 31 is not that interesting as a concept. We need a hopeful message right now, and this isn't it. There is no message here except genocidal maniacs deserve a second chance, and that all you need to do to break out of handcuffs is go like this really hard. I'm sorry, this whole fucking movie is so bad. It's so bad. I can't.